I do miss it at times, especially with all the accomplishments that we were able to do. Um, but all you can do now is just move forward. And that's what I feel like I've been doing now for the past few years. And we've been asked many times if we were doing something. We're like, yeah, we're doing something. It's going to be a new thing.
Hello, and welcome to Words on the Wind podcast, hosted by myself, Paul Benedict. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest today, an incredible talent and dear friend of mine, David Rose. David is an aspiring musician with a passion that resonates through every note that he plays. Our conversation today takes us through the exhilarating highs and challenging lows of David's musical career. Imagine the electrifying moment back in 2018 when David and his band, Chapter Black, opened up for the iconic group Red. This milestone wasn't just a performance, it was a declaration. We've made it, and let's aim even higher. But David's journey isn't just about the bright lights of success, it's about perseverance, about making it on his own in times when life seemed to push him into the unknown. It's about the grit to get back up and try again, no matter the odds. One of David's proudest achievements in music is not just about creating songs, but creating connections. Collaborating and co-writing with someone he's long idolized, Clint Lowery of Seven Dust, stands out as a testament to his dedication and talent. So sit back and let's dive into the world of David Rose, a world where music is not just an art, but a journey of continuous self-discovery and relentless pursuit of dreams. And as always, much love, Paul. David Rose,
What's up, dude?
rock star in the making, right?
Trying to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a while since I've seen you, so it's good to see you again.
You too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nick's wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually. That was the most current time.
That was a fun night.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Few too many Stellas, maybe.
Yeah. Stella's, whatever
Yeah.
drinks that was there at the time.
Yeah.
I ended up winning a bottle of whiskey just for catching that thing that Amy threw out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I win anything.
I caught the thing. And obviously, with weddings, that's supposed to represent like, oh, you could be the next one to get married sort of a deal. And obviously still right now, I'm not married. No kids, nothing. All I do is work and write music on my spare time.
Yeah. Ever since I met you, you've been obsessed with music, and I was very impressed when I first heard you play the guitar. I was like, wow. Like I've always been envious of that. Like you are quite the musician. So it's cool to have you on here. I'd love to be able to talk about that and kind of just know a little bit about your musical history. I've known you for over 10 years now, but
11 now, actually, coming up this summer.
Yep, going on 11 years.
11,
but
actually, yeah.
What's the true history of why David Rose is such a guitarist? Yeah.
It honestly started with the band Nickelback. And I've made it known for a long time now with friends that that's been my favorite band. And even when we first met, that they were coming to town at the time. And that was the one thing I was excited about.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah,
it was a fun show.
It was.
You brought me more into the music scene than I had been prior. I've always loved music, and Metallica was kind of my gateway into like the rock. But going to Nickelback, that was probably my first rock show I ever went to back in 2012. It was who opened up for them?
Was them, Bush, Seether, and My Darkest Days, which ironically enough, the following year, the singer of that band became the new singer for 3 Days Grace.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he sounds very similar to, was it Adam?
Yeah. Adam.
Yeah. You're like a encyclopedia when it comes to bands and lyrics and song titles, album titles, musicians and stuff like that, I can ask you a question. You just pop it right off the top of your head. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's a
it's a
passion,
superpower
really.
of yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been, I guess, having the elephant memory for a long time is kind of
Mm-hmm.
pushed on. I guess not even with just that and general life stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I remember specific details, someone would be like, "Oh, was it this? No, it was that."
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah. Can't lie about music around David. He'll catch you. He'll correct you. W- So why did you choose the rock avenue? Because you've always been a rocker. Like where did that come from? How
I
did
think
that?
before that, it was country stuff, just being around my mom and my grandma in Oklahoma and just singing along to some of those songs that kind of started it a little bit. The rock thing kind of entered a little bit more with my dad. He actually remember this specifically. He would get either a White Zombie or a Rob Zombie cassette tapes back when those are still a thing. And he would get bands like Godsmack and stuff. And my grandma would just look at it like, "What's this? Are you worshiping the devil? Look, this little thing. He's a devil worshiper." It's like, that's, I kind of looked at her like, "Are you?" I don't think that's really the case. It's just music. I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, they're expressing themselves in some sort of way at the time, but still you're learning about it. But what really brought me to it a bit at the time, he was also, it goes back to the Nickelback thing. He saw Nickelback, and that song "Higher Remind Me" was big. Like, you couldn't get away from it at all. And it was kind of in and out. I remember the top 40 radio, pop radio stuff was playing some rock stuff. So it was a little bit more into that. So it was like different stuff here and there. And then when I officially started living with my dad almost full time, it became more that the Photograph song came on. So now I was just moving away from Oklahoma at the time, and it kind of hit, and it just made me realize, okay, I'm starting to like this band a lot. And I remember at one point visiting Oklahoma again with my uncle Lou, and the band would pop on. I remember going into Walmart; they were advertising the All the Right Reasons album, and I was like, on this day, we got to go to Walmart. If we're still in Oklahoma by this time, we got to go to Walmart, get this record. And he let me get the album. I had a portable CD player and all. And I think, like, first CD kind of per se that I bought, because the stuff I had before that was a burned CD of another band from one of my old stepmoms. And it just kind of progressed from there over time. And then I guess from the start of Nickelback, it evolution to being introduced to bands like Breaking Benjamin, Seether, so on, so forth. And then later on in high school, you get exposed to even more newer bands that were popping on to our local station, the X, with like
Mm-hmm.
Red, Pop Evil.
I feel like the early 2000s were a great time for rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was at a peak.
Yeah. There's so many good bands and songs from that time. Flyleaf was one of my favorite bands for a while, for
Oh,
going
yeah.
off the female singers. But yeah, all those bands you mentioned, I love as well, and heavily influenced by you. I would say when I met you, I was like discovering kind of a new drug almost. The music was just
Oh,
so
yeah.
powerful. I truly loved hearing all your band suggestions and stuff like that. But so Nickelback was your gateway band, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Their music's changed quite a bit over the years, would you say? Do you agree with
Oh,
that?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, some of it still goes back to maybe what they've done in the past with what
Mhm.
they've done, but it's overall, yeah, it still has changed, but they're still, like, at the core, they're still a rock band
Yeah.
for sure. Like, their recent album kind of visits back to, I mean, maybe dates back to a few albums before that that still has that similar kind of ordeal, but they're still treading new territory that they haven't done in the
Mhm.
past.
Yeah, when I met you, you were always doing rock, like guitar covers for music that you liked.
Yeah.
Nickelback was a big one. You were doing guitar covers. You'd sit down. Now, this is like my question for you: is that you were It was like you were just plugging into the band, like you were just plugging in as the guitarist. Like it was spot on. How much did you have to practice to get to that point, or is it pretty easy for you to pick up a guitar and hear a song and be able to reverse engineer that? Because you weren't looking at sheet music, you were just playing from ear.
I was kind of from ear, mixture of by ear, looking at tablatures, videos,
Tabs, yeah, that's
stuff like that. Um, I went I think that's been kind of the main core of it.
yeah.
And even before that, when I was in high school, it was yeah, it was Nickelback, and I would do other songs from different bands too. Um, and to this day, I still kind of do that when I want to do it. Not as much now, but yeah, I think how I'd do it before is I would either look at a video or look at a guitar tab, listen to the song with the tab, or just take it section by section and
Mhm.
piece it together,
Yeah.
and then practice it a few times before I even record a video.
Only a few times.
Yeah, well, if I
Yeah,
mess up here and there, I'll be like, "Oh,
yeah,
yeah, well, what can you do? We're only human."
yeah, I just remember you picking it up super fast. Same thing when, writing music and stuff. Just came very easy to you. So it's like just kind of like picking apart how are you able to do that? Like how'd you start doing that? And like when did you start playing guitar? How long did it take you to get decently good? And when did you realize that this is something you enjoyed and you had a natural talent for?
Well, I picked it up when I was 14. Um, being 31 now, it's given or take however many years that'll be now.
Hmm.
Um, I've always told people I never really considered myself to be a shredder, never been like a guitar solo type of a guy. I get the concept of it and when it's needed and what if it fits whatever set song. I've always been a rhythm kind of player and a riff kind of player and like hearing a sense of melody. That's always what has made sense to me.
Yeah. 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 You're always just working on those, rhythm guitar style play. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just like what would sound good to me and what would be, I guess, catchy per se. I
Hmm.
guess that reverts back to what I've been influenced by
Hmm.
and been stuck by too.
Hmm. I'll say, like, sitting down and writing with you in the past, you were really good about taking lyrics that someone had or a sound someone had in mind. And I'd like hum something to you, or like, this is kind of the sound I'm thinking, and you just start playing it on the guitar, and it'd be better than like what I was even thinking. Just like spot on. I was almost like, put the quarter in, David, and produce the music. It was, like I said, it's very impressive. Yeah, you make it look easy. So, does that feel like how did you get to that point? Because it's something that you've been in several bands now, and I think that stayed with you the whole time. And you found individuals that can do similar things as well, and just be able to have that flow with. But every band you've been in is significantly improved on the quality, and it's been cool to see your timeline as a musician.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy to think about that and look at that. As we were talking before that, it's more like an evolution.
Hmm.
And the stuff that I'm doing now, I've told you before, I feel like it's better. It's more current to what is being done now as opposed to in the past. And I'm also treading new territory of stuff I've always wanted to try, but we never got the chance to up until now.
Hmm.
So, and that's the one thing I'm excited for people to hear once it's ready and put out properly to get the ball rolling.
So you're currently working on a project right now with a group of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have a name for the project, or just still working together?
No, the project's still currently unnamed.
Yeah.
We've tossed around ideas for names.
Don't
Nothing.
rush it. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's really been like, oh, that's cool. Let's go stick with that because
Yeah.
we could come up with me kind of a thing. The last band I did, as some people will probably know from this, if even if they did go to a show, was Chapter Black,
Hmm.
and the name from that, at the singer at the time, he was a huge anime kind of guy, and found out the name of it was based off of a anime show, and there was an episode of it. I guess the title of it or something involved with it was saying something along the lines of the Chapter Black tapes. We didn't really knew what it was, what it meant, anything like that. Other than this name sounded cool, so it just stuck. So from there, and even before that to what we done in the past, we did a song. It was just a gradual evolution to where it's at now.
Yeah, it was cool to see some of the songs that we wrote and you guys remade them and try to improve on them or make them a little bit more sophisticated in nature. And yeah, I think you re-recorded them, didn't you? Which
One
one?
one was supposed to be re-recorded vocally. We kind of started it never came out, but we played it live,
Yeah,
which was a song that we know of as The Punisher.
yeah, yeah, that one.
Yeah, the only thing that changed was the lyrics and the singing melody. Other than that, and then possibly the drums, because we had a
Mhm.
studio drummer on
Yeah,
that track.
very talented drummer.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I remember trying to do both drums and vocals, and I didn't have the talent as the drummer. I didn't grow up classically trained or anything, fundamentally trained. I just did it for fun because my grandpa was a drummer, and I wanted to pick it up, but I think I started a little too late. So I can do a few things, but nothing good enough to be worthy of being in a band. Most likely, I
yeah.
would say that. So it's a dream of mine that never came to fruition, but it's cool to have in the house, and maybe my kid will pick it up. I would say my daughter, she's more interested in the drums than my son is.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, she's very curious about it. She'll come in here and bang around on them and try to figure some stuff out. And if I show her a few licks and stuff, she'll try a little bit harder than Raiden does to replicate it. So yeah, she might be the musician in the family. Um, but yeah, that drum set's always going to be something special to me. Just
I
coming from my
remember that
grandpa
drum
and stuff.
set
Yeah,
just being in your
a lot of memories with it.
garage in your grandpa's place.
Yeah.
First meeting Nick to actually that day after that Nickelback show, close to 11 years ago, which is kind of stuck since.
Yeah. There was because we recorded The Punisher. There was one song and I can't remember the name of it. And
You know the drill.
you know the drill. We had that one. I would say we had that one pretty in sync too. Like it was sounding really good. We just didn't have
Yeah,
the
it was
ability
just
to record it.
guitar wise for me it was more like palm muting triply like chicka 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 chicka, like that kind of a
Yeah.
thing, and then having it sync with
Mhm.
whatever the drummer was doing. I remember that was the next song we were going to record.
Yeah. I actually like
And
that one
then
better than The
yeah,
Punisher.
that was the next one we were going to record, and then you went off to
Yeah.
do the military stuff.
Yeah, I think I went to basic training because we were rushing to record The Punisher right before I left.
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I did like You Know the Drill better, and I thought it sounded better. I thought it was easier to sing vocally
Yeah.
because I was very new to it all. But maybe someday.
Yeah.
We
Um,
lost the lyrics, so I don't know.
I remember you were writing them on a piece of paper, which most people do sometimes. They
Yeah,
don't now because if you're writing something, they even whip out an iPad or a phone,
yeah.
which
So
still works.
lyrics are lost, but you might remember the musical part of it all, the instrumental. I don't know.
General of it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, cool to see all the evolution of everything. We've had a lot of changes in the last 10 years, but yeah, seeing you still going after your dreams with the music stuff has been awesome to see. So
Oh yeah.
looking forward to seeing your new project or hearing your new project. But um, as far as like your guitarist skills go, you picked up bass for a little bit, didn't you? Or you played bass for a group?
Yeah. So the singer of the last band I was in, he wanted to do a side band because he felt he wanted to still have some writing ability to extent. I guess it's more like to him at the time, like a control factor. And I hate to say that was the fact,
Mm-hmm.
but down the road, later on, learning, yeah, that was the fact. Um, you want him wanting to be a main writer of most things and then writing different part. Like it's like it comes into like an ego play.
Mm.
And that's the one thing with this new project that I've been working on is at the end of the day, I don't care who wrote the part or who plays it on the recording. If it fits the song, it fits the song. That's the one thing I learned from the guy I've been working with.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. So I played bass in that one other project, and he called it "Pray for Peril." And the one song in that we ended up recording, and it was the only one that was released publicly. It was called "Frontline." I actually had the music for, and it was intended actually very early stages to be a Chapter Black song before it was even called Chapter Black. It was under Lost in Silence. The original title of the song was Take You Down. And I remember our buddy Matt was the one that was singing it. I kind of wrote the genesis of the music with him. And I liked the parts to it enough to where I was like, I played it in front of the guys I was playing with in that project. And they were like, yeah, let's take it. And there was only like a couple parts kind of changed, but the general gist of it, yeah, musically, I kind of looked at it, I was like, yeah, I wrote it. Yay, me, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can pivot on different instruments and stuff like that. I tried learning the bass. It wasn't very successful. I got the big hands for it, but the coordination, I just never picked
It's
it.
a
A
big,
guitar.
thick, wide neck as
Yeah.
opposed to a guitar.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with guitar on like chords and stuff, just being able to fit my fingers in for everything because I have really big hands and I have a hard time playing guitar sometimes. So I learned a few basic chords and had my fun with it. Like, okay, this isn't for me. But
Yeah,
how old were you when you picked up the guitar for the first time?
14.
14. Yeah, I think you mentioned that. And then was it acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Electric.
It was a black first act guitar that was out of a pawn shop in
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
You had that one for a little bit, and then you were like, "Oh, I started having those dreams of upgrading guitars." And
Yeah, I mean that the upgrading guitar thing didn't really kick in till I guess later on. Um, I've had that one for a while, and I had like a reddish knockoff Fender from the fair for a while. Ended up getting rid of that. I got rid of a couple amps at the time. I guess it kind of progressively went towards that route. But now, guitar wise, it's strictly Paul Reed Smith.
That you have right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your favorite one so far?
Yeah. It's just been one of those dream guitars, brand wise, I've always wanted to play for a long time. And then most of the musicians I've looked up to, and one specifically was a guitar player from Seven Dust. That was kind of the main reason why I wanted to gravitate towards that brand, and I've stuck with that since. And it's a comfortability thing. I like how most of them sound anyway. Zach always tells me, like, you should need to upgrade this, upgrade that. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, dude. If it sounds good to me, it sounds good to me. Is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you have a very specific sound that you like. It's more like a grungy type of rhythm sound, influenced by what Breaking Benjamin,
Yeah,
Chevelle.
Chevelle, Breaking Benjamin, Nickelback was into play.
Yeah.
Even incorporating what the scene kids at the time would call metalcore, like the whole breakdown patterns, the syncopated kind of like kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like in all your projects, you've kept a very similar guitar sound.
Very similar,
Yeah.
yeah, but also incorporating some newness.
Yeah. Have you had difficulties with different groups and trying to mesh together a sound that everyone agrees with? You know, with bands, there comes some disagreements and drama. Do you have any stories on some high tensions when writing music or
I don't
coming
know
up
about
with?
high tensions, but it's more of I mainly witnessed it with our friend Zach and our singer that we had at the time because they have always butted heads on what should do or what should go into the song. But at the end of the day, like him and Zach and we were the primary kind of music writers. And if we need to change stuff here and at the time, and we changed it, it was whatever worked for the song. So wouldn't say there was huge debacles or fights or anything like that.
Is like when you're sitting down as a group to write music, was it as a group or were you coming up with individual ideas and bringing them together? What's your process for music writing right now?
Now it's been back to being in front of the laptop, and I've done group settings a couple times before, but it's been in front of the laptop, and now recently it's been with front of the laptop or with my producer or doing a co-write via Zoom with somebody. Kind of that process, and then making the genesis of the demo and sending it off, and then going back to retrack everything later and changing stuff here and there if it needs to be changed, whatever works for the song kind of situation, and then going back after it's said and done. And I mean, at this case, we don't even still have a drummer. So all the drums on this new project have been programmed. which is crazy. You can do that and make it sound like an actual human playing it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the cool part about, music and the writing process is, without your drummer, as long as you have your tempo and you have just a pretty generic beat, you can write your music around that, and then that drummer can come in later. It's probably a
yeah.
little bit easier to do that with drums than it is other instruments.
Well,
Yeah.
people have gotten into programming bass
Yeah.
without even playing the bass.
Yeah. Yeah, I say, was that with like a MIDI
Yeah,
keyboard
either
or
a MIDI
something like,
keyboard, you can like
or the
hand do it too, but
yeah,
I
or like a
find that
piano?
hand doing it in the actual recording DAW is
Mhm.
hate to say it, kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So, um, but if you're doing it on a MIDI keyboard, it's a little bit easier, especially with drums now too, because you have those little pads that you can just hit, tap
Mhm.
them in, and then go back in, re-record like I guess the cymbal hits and stuff like that. You can go back in and change it later.
Yep. Yeah, just get enough to get by for now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard finding reliable bandmates and members. One, just schedule wise, as we're getting older, settling down, having kids and family, work, and finding common music ideas, and just being able to blend together well as a band,
yeah.
and yeah, just getting past those two things, and just seems like bands that I know, they're always having to replace someone, or someone's not working out and they want to move a different direction, start their own project after they've been working with the band for a while.
Or the whole
But
band itself is done.
yeah, yeah, the band just disbands, and
Yeah.
that was all in the past. And then you either you start again or you take some time off. Try to find a group of people is difficult. But how have how have you been able to find people to like join your projects and your groups, or have you been able to plug into other projects?
Well, I knew for sure, like, if I wanted another guitar player, Zach's there.
Mhm.
And so I presented him the first idea of the song that I sent you in the past. He's like, I'm in. Like, automatically, he was in. And just our chemistry from what we did before, I knew it was going to work.
Yeah, he's a really talented guitarist as well. He's more of a lead guitarist, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
lead player, where I'm just a rhythm kind
Mhm.
of a guy.
Yep.
Um, and then there was another guy that we had tried out to play bass for us for a while from Chapter Black, and he ended up splitting, uh, just due to the fact that he didn't really like the style of what we were going to at the time. Like, we were just kind of naturally letting it to see what happened. And then towards the end of that year, I mean, obviously, as you know now, the band's been done for what be going on close to 3 years in October, which is crazy to think about that. Um, which is fine. I do miss it at times, especially with all the accomplishments that we were able to do.
Mhm.
Um, but all you can do now is just move forward, and that's what I feel like what I've been doing now for the past few years. And we've been asked many times if we were doing something. We're like, yeah, we're doing something. It's going to be a new thing for sure. I thought it'd be done last year, but with stuff that pops up here and there, it just kind of makes it difficult.
You're working with a local studio?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
working with a buddy of mine named Brogan.
Oh,
He
cool.
owns a place called Night Owl Studios.
Yeah. Yeah, I followed them a while back. This seems like a pretty cool production that
Yeah,
they're able to the quality seemed really good from the things that I heard.
yeah, he's worked with two other bands in town that I've been friends with
Nice.
for a while as well. So,
Yeah.
what prompted me to go to him is just another buddy of mine. I had worked with him for the stuff that he'd been doing in the past, and he's like, "Dude, go to him. Like, if you want direction on what you want to do and try and have him be a producer, he's your guy." So I remember going over there, just having a discussion, like a little genesis of an idea, nothing like fully formed. And then like 2 days later, after we had that discussion, I was in the studio and we started the first song. That's how it kind of went, and it's just like we took it in steps. The only like thing that took a bit was the guy that had mentioned it to me. He originally sang on some of the stuff or a couple of the songs, and he decided that it wasn't for him.
Mhm.
So I had to go back starting from the first song and do like a singer audition. And Craigslist can be kind of sketchy at times.
You think?
I've done that in the past, and I was contemplating whether to do that or not as far as finding someone to sing. And I'm kind of glad I did because the singer I have now is phenomenal.
Awesome. Male, female singer?
Female.
Female? Nice. Yeah, I think I heard a little bit of what you sent me. I was very impressed by that one that you sent me. I think there was 2 files you sent me, and they're both really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Is she heavily influenced by the similar music that you were influenced by?
Yeah, they said they were
Yeah.
crazy about some of the bands and was pretty down to go with the flow, which is nice because
Mhm.
it makes it easy for me, it makes it easy for Zach and whoever else involved in the project. We never, with the whole genesis of this thing, not really once had an argument or anything like that. Because I told him the goal is like whatever works for this, let it go with that. It's not going to be good if you force it and you want to have it go in a different direction. It's not going to work out.
Yeah. I think in the beginning phases, a lot of groups try to rush stuff too fast. They haven't found their way. You got to get in sync as a band, as a group, and just like excited to hear what you have going on in the future. Take those lessons learned from your previous groups, your bands that you've had, your projects, and apply that to this new project. As far as Chapter Black goes, what would you consider your greatest accomplishment or your kind of like pinnacle, your peak of that group?
I'd say for sure the start of it was 2018. We got to open up for Red, which was
The band Red, not a cover
yeah,
band,
yeah,
but
the
Red.
band Red.
That's awesome. I love that band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember getting the phone call for that too. Specifically, we had done a show the night before at the Olympic. It was a thing called Face of Blast. So we had a buddy of ours who recently passed away, and it was on the news. He passed away in Bakhmut, Ukraine. You might have seen the story about it, but
No, who's that?
his name was Nick Mamer.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he owned a studio in town for a while. Stopped doing that. He kind of dabbled in different things.
Was it part of the war? He passed away from over there with the war? Or?
He was over there helping train
Oh, okay.
some people. I think training some of the Ukrainians that were defending themselves. I think it
was
was.
he a veteran from?
Yeah, he was a vet. He was in the army too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah. He was putting on a thing called Face of Blast, which was something that we had done prior before we were even called Chapter Black. We were doing that show at the Olympic venue. We played with 2 other bands that were just kind of like that deathcore kind of a situation. And we were the one band that played last that we were nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we remember this specifically. Most of everyone that was there, they went downstairs to Mulligan's and just hung out. And it was kind of a situation where we just played some in front of some of our friends and some family members. And after we were done, some of them came up. They're like, "Oh, good set," and we kind of knew, like, you weren't there, dude.
I've had that same experience though, being in the wrong place as a band. Battle of the Bands back in 2010, I think. It was me, Matt, a guy named Nick, and I think it was different Nick that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And we were playing with the Medulla stuff. You remember Medulla?
Oh yeah,
And we
told about that.
were the first band to open up in that Battle of the Bands. It was Metal Night, but we considered ourselves metal. It just wasn't the metal that was playing that night.
Yeah.
It was the hardcore stuff. So we opened up for them, and yeah, it was bad. We weren't prepared. We were still very young and inexperienced, and we had a replacement bassist at the time. But yeah, I lost one of my drumsticks during the show, during one of the songs. And
Did you have a spare at least?
No, I mean, I was an idiot. I didn't have a spare set of drumsticks. It went in the crowd. Someone threw it back, but I couldn't get to it, so I got it after the one song to continue on because
Just
I think
played one
we
hand,
played like two or
backbeat,
three songs.
backbeating
Yeah, it
it,
was
like
so embarrassing.
cymbal, snare, this kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was one of the I think it was the first live show that we played because we did some other stuff after, but not nothing that was any better really. But yeah, just being so nervous before that first show, or puking in the urinal before going up there. And I was 16 or 17 at the time. And then, yeah, losing the stick, that was embarrassing. And then, yeah, trying to play with one hand. I mean, I couldn't imagine how terrible it sounded. But hey, the crowd didn't boo us off the stage. They
Hey,
realized we are just some kids up there. But then, yeah,
trying to have some fun.
the band that came after, I mean, holy crap, they were good. I mean, it was like some Dragon Force type stuff. Is that the band name, Dragon Force?
Dragon Force, yeah, the
what
one,
that
the
mean?
band that was behind like Through the Fire and Flames, that
Yeah,
super tappy
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was like that, long hair, like shaking their head in circles, and just
yeah.
like super in sync. So, yeah, as a band, you go through some embarrassing times, but you learn.
You've done
It was a
stuff
good
with that
experience.
one place, Donnie Max.
Yeah, Donnie Max. We played. We did a talent show there. Played a few weeks there. Those were better performances. We were a
Yeah,
little more synced in.
I've seen some of those older pictures with both you, Matt, and Nick doing
Yeah,
those shows.
yeah. That was a fun time. We had a lot of fun doing those jam sessions in my grandpa's garage or Matt's house during the summers and stuff. But yeah, it seems like a past life now.
Yeah,
Here,
it seems like it.
here
But
you
yeah,
are
that
still
kind of a
grinding.
situation is always sucky. And that wasn't the first time that we even experienced it either, because the year before that, Matt was in the same group with us. And this is
Mm-hmm.
before even Zach was in the band. It was literally myself, Matt, Nick, and Joe. We were playing at Tom Graney's. It was before they moved their music stuff downstairs or anything like that had changed up.
Mm-hmm.
We were up there, and then the two other bands that were on that show, similar thing. After we got up there, we were doing our thing, and same thing afterwards. Oh, good set. They weren't even inside
Mm.
at all.
Yeah.
Like you weren't even. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll take it, I guess.
Yeah.
But reverting back to that one other show, we did that the next morning. Hearing my phone vibrate. I'm kind of waking up, trying to sleep in a bit, and I get a message from our buddy Randy from over at the X, who's the host of the exclusive show on Sundays that used to be hosted by Big J for a long time. He's like, get on Facebook Messenger, get on a call. So it was myself and the singer that we had at the time. And the literal question after we got on the call was, you guys want to do a free X show? We're like, yeah, who's it could be for? And we couldn't say anything at the time, but he told us it was going to be for Red. And they were doing a tour at the time. It was them and Lacey Sturm, but Lacey Sturm didn't do that show that we ended up doing. She was on the tour, but she didn't do that show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good about month and a half publicly. We couldn't say anything, but we were just ecstatic because it was our first time playing the Knitting Factory at all, which we knew was a big goal for every one of us. After being at that venue many times to see shows, you're now going to be up there in the opposite end playing on the stage.
Yeah. Favorite venue. I love that place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were asking all sorts of questions because we knew that Red was mainly known for being a Christian band. And we were like, can we drop F-bombs? Can we cuss? Like, I've heard stories of Skillet bring on non-secular bands, as they call it, that have that kind of content in their songs. And if they play any of those songs, they have to take out some of the words or censor it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's based on a contract or anything like that too. But we kept it to ourselves for a while that we were going to do the show. Like, you knew that we were going to do it. Some other friends that we knew that we were going to do it.
Yeah, I remember being super stoked for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really a huge accomplishment for sure, knowing that we were going to do that, because we knew, like, okay, well, the show itself the night before that we didn't know that that was going to be coming, because a message I had before that same night that we did that one show at the Olympic, ironically enough, there was a free X show going on with a band called Otherwise. And that was like one of the first like free X shows I went to with Nick, like close to 11 and a half years ago. And originally I thought we were going to be doing that show. We didn't end up doing it. but which was kind of a blessing in disguise from that point on, knowing that we were going to open up for Red and knowing the songs already and being one of those other bands I had listened to in my room back in high school, like songs like Breathe Into Me or Feed the Machine, Let Go. Like I can name all
Yep.
off all of them if I could.
Yeah. I remember hearing you play them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the show day comes, and it was a packed room, as you probably remember being there. It was a packed room. I've never played to that many people.
Did you meet the band before?
That night, we saw them kind of sound checking, but they weren't really sound checking. I guess they were making sure they got all their stuff ready to go before we could even load up and set up.
Yeah.
But I said hi to the singer, and even before that, I did meet them before in like 2015 when they had came to town.
Yeah.
And they've always had that nice guy demeanor, and I've always liked their beliefs. But when it came down to it, it's like I'm also a big fan of the music. I could really care less about the content. I get the content and the messages behind it, but at the end of the day, I just thought the music was good. That's all that mattered to me. So we ended up doing that show, and then that same year it progressed on to playing with bands like Gemini Syndrome and another band out of Texas called Messer, and then ended up just kind of snowballing. And in the following year, we got asked to do a free X show again with a gal called Diamante, who did a song with another band called Bad Wolves. So that was another huge accomplishment. And I remember that year of 2019, we were going to try and take our time with writing what was supposed to be the album. And we only released a one-off song that was meant to be on the record. And it was a song called Failures. And that was only really kind of newish material that we were playing in the set, because in the set, it was mainly material that kind of genesis from some riffs I had back in high school, changes here and there, and a cover. And the cover we did was a 3 Days Grace cover. He wanted to do Animal I've Become, and I'm like, I like 3 Days Grace. I love 3 Days Grace. And I like the song. I was like, why can't it be just like a deep cut, a song that was not a hit? Like I've always kind of gravitated towards that too. Like if some people know it and they dig it, cool. But yeah, we ended up doing Animal I've Become, and it stayed in the set for a long time. There was one slow song that we had on an EP that I wrote the words, the singing melody to, even though I didn't sing on it. I just told who we had at the time, this is how it goes, this is how I want the melody to kind of go, because it's kind of what fit. And it was a song called Back to Shore.
Yeah, that was a good song.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the few times that we've played it, I've always been told that there was fights during that song.
What?
Yeah,
of all songs,
that one, there was fights. And if I'm up there playing it, like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm just playing the thing. I'm in the mood, like this, like an emotional kind of a feeling. This is what it's supposed to convey. We were told, yeah, a couple people got into a fight, and I remember specifically we played that song at a bar in Nampa. When we were starting out under the Chapter Black name, we played that song, and then apparently a couple nearby the bar got into a fight. So originally we were going to do it at that free X show with Red, and we ended up taking out in favor for the cover.
Yeah,
because everyone was like, no. And a couple of other guys weren't really already too fond of the song. So we only very rarely played it. Only if we were last, we would throw it in. And then one other time that we did throw it in, again, the same thing happened, a fight. And I'm not witnessing it, just playing the song. It's like, I don't know what it was, but like apparently with that song, some couple, whoever gets into a fight.
Yeah, sound was bringing back past memories or something, emotions.
I guess so.
Yeah, that reminds me of Non-Point when that was kind of a fighty show too. I remember it was rowdy.
Oh yes, dude, I remember that.
Yeah, our buddy Matt.
I remember his wife McKenna.
Yeah,
took me out of the pit because she was afraid I was gonna get stumbled.
It was getting rowdy. Yeah. That band Non-Point, the Bullet with Your Name on it.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the song?
Yeah, Bullet with a Name.
That song gets people going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's good band. But yeah, that was a fun night. That was a fun show. That was I think that was my last show before leaving for basic training.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
made it like a whole big group thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Show. But yeah, I think Matt got in a fight with someone, I think.
He
and
got kicked out.
Got kicked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he was trying to defend Kenna or his wife,
Yeah,
and
that's what it
punched
was.
the dude. Yeah, because trying to get her out of the crowd or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah. Do you you ever been in a crazy mosh pit? Or what do they call it? There's different names for different
Mosh
things.
pits, crowd
Yeah.
surfing.
There's like the
one-
wall of death or whatever.
I've never done the wall of death.
Yeah.
I kind of, well, I guess I kind of have, but I've witnessed those, and those are pretty nutty in itself. I remember one specifically 10 years ago, almost to the day, 10 years ago this year, I went to see Asking Alexandria at the
Mhm.
Knitting Factory and split up. Their singer's like, I want to see this place kind of go nutty, kind of ordeal. And then they start the song and like that.
Yeah.
Like that. So I witnessed those things. The first time I had crowd surfed actually was earlier that same year at the Knitting Factory, and it was at an Escape the Fate show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Did you make it all the way to the front?
I did.
Nice.
I did
nice.
actually.
And
Because I told them I wanted to try it, and I tried it again when I went to Rocklahoma. But in a festival setting, there's a lot more people that are helping out like that. And around that time, I was in a couple mosh pits. I almost had a guy almost punch me.
Yeah.
At that show too.
Over what?
He was just being drunk.
Yeah, just being drunk
being
and
stupid and
obnoxious.
drunk.
And just felt like punching you.
Yeah,
you have a punchable.
And in that kind of a setting,
yeah,
just dudes like giving chicks Mardi Gras beads if they show off their stuff.
Yeah,
kind of a thing. It was a good old time.
Yeah, is that where did you say that was?
Oklahoma.
Oh,
it was
okay.
in a town called Pryor.
Oh, okay. And that's an annual event.
Yeah, around like Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like around May time. Like the last few times recently have been around September.
Yeah, more in depth than X Fest here.
Yeah,
yeah, a lot more extensive.
Yeah.
I remember that always being really fun. The X shows, the X Fest shows. But
we went to 2 together.
Yeah, I think my favorite performance was Stained. I really liked them.
Yeah, that was fun. That was the first time that we both got to see Adelita's Way.
Yeah, that was a good band too. So many good. I went to a lot of shows.
Yeah,
that period that we were together all the time was fun. It was full of a lot of good shows. Because ever since then, I've kind of ones and twosies here and there, but never consistently. We were going.
Yeah,
it was a period for sure. It was fun. So you opened for Red. That was a big accomplishment with Chapter Black. You mentioned to me that you did some co-writing with Seven Dust. Was it the singer,
the guitar player,
guitarist?
Clint Lowery.
Clint Lowery.
Yeah, that only really happened. I guess the genesis of it really happened was in 2021. It was still in the midst of the pandemic. There wasn't really any shows. There was live stream stuff. He was selling on his website group writing sessions where he would just write a song in front of a group of people via Zoom. So I bought one of those, and that made me learn a bit more of his process. And then later on after that, I guess I want to say about a month and a half or so after that happened, he got into Patreon. So I subscribed to his highest tier to Patreon, which is only like maybe $20 a month. You chat with him in a Discord chat with a group of people. He would do like crowdcast sessions, have you hop on kind of a thing. And it evolved into doing one-on-one writing sessions with a few different people in there. And I was one of them. So I ended up paying for that. And that only really started about a year and a half ago as far as those go. And it was worth it. Very worth it. Because I didn't really know what to expect. Especially with someone that's been in the industry for a long time, knows from firsthand experiences, being signed to labels, kind of a thing, and just kind of absorbing as you go. And what I was doing at the time, I would present him a riff, and his exact words were like, "That's cool as hell." And I'm just kind of taken back by like, really? Like, This was kind of on the spot, like maybe 2 days before. I just kind of remembered it.
Mhm.
Like just had to keep it ingrained. So we developed an idea like that, and we would pick it back up whenever he was off tour. And then we did it again recently, a couple more times this last year, doing a couple more sessions because those I wanted to stockpile as far as ideas go for the new project, as far as songs and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it's been great, and it's been reasonably affordable too because it's not costing a whole wallet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're getting good value out of it, and just the opportunity to say that you've been able to co-write with a musician that you really respect and love, and being able to impress them too at the same time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, is like he might take influence from you too. Yeah,
I would like to say so,
that'd be
but
cool.
I know he takes influence from anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that band, but I've heard a little bit about them. They're
I think I remember we heard the song "Decay."
yeah. hmm Kelly, what is Seven Dust? What do they? Who do they sound like? If you had to put like three comparison bands by them.
They were one of those bands that kinda came out when, like, the new metal thing was starting,
Hmm Yeah.
but they weren't using, like, seven-string guitars at the time. They were, like, dropped tuned and
Mm.
still making it
Have you?
heavy sounding.
Yeah. Have you seen them?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen Seven Dust. Recent time, I just saw Seven Dust was a year and a half ago. I actually traveled all the way to Chicago
Nice.
to go see them.
That's
Yeah, they
cool.
were playing in a town called McHenry at a venue called the Vixen, and I met some of the people that were in the Discord chat that were going to the show, and yeah, it was a fun time. It was a Non-Point was actually on that show too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is that
um,
the furthest you've traveled? Was Chicago for a band?
for, like, as far as far, far out, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than Oklahoma or going
hmm
to Utah for a show, yeah, the farthest out for sure was Chicago,
Nice.
and that place is kind of eye-opening. It was a huge culture shock.
Did you have to go downtown for the show?
Well, the
Yeah.
show itself was in a town called McHenry, and I had
Uh,
the Airbnb close to nearby the general area of
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So whenever I wanted to go visit the actual downtown Chicago, they had what they call a metro train
hmm
that was on a rail on the outskirts suburb towns of Chicago.
Yeah.
So I took that going into downtown Chicago and just exploring a little bit without.
Yeah. Chicago can be a little dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've made sure to be on the lookout for
Yeah.
myself.
You didn't get jumped.
No, no, thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. Never been in Chicago, just at the airport. So, and I've had my identity stolen twice from the Chicago airport. So, yeah, on the way to basic training,
What?
and then on the way to another training over in Indiana at the Chicago airport. So,
Did you
uh,
fly into O'Hare?
yeah, I think it was Chicago O'Hare Airport. Yeah, yeah, both times just like someone with a skimmer or something. Somewhere I made a purchase on a card, and yeah, both the times I checked my bank account a few hours later. One
Like,
was right before going into basic training, so I'm about to lose my phone for who knows how long.
really?
And I see my bank account is I don't think it was in the negative, but it was close to zero. And I had saved up quite a bit before then. So uh, at the time I'm also like trying to figure out what do I do about the situation. And so I
Can't you,
call my
yeah,
dad and I
you can't do much
call
if
my
you're in
dad and
basic
my
training.
bank and I give him power of attorney for everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
about to be MIA for weeks. So and I did let the army know what was going on. My recruiter talked to whoever he needed to let them know about the situation in case I absolutely my phone. But yeah, my dad took care of it. He was able to work with the bank and get my money back. Thankfully, they traced all the transactions back to Canada. But
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go back to Chicago unless absolutely necessary.
That's
Huge
crazy.
airport. I remember getting lost in there.
Well, I know they have another airport on a different side of there, but yeah, O'Hare is where I flew in as well.
Yeah, yeah, pretty cool venue with
Yeah,
Seven Dust
yeah,
there.
it was. It was kind of resembled a knitting factory in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah. So you've traveled to see shows, but you've also traveled as a band to perform shows, right?
Yes.
Where have you traveled to?
One of the big places we went to was Spokane.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got booked on some outdoor bar festival thing by a guy. and we played outside. They had another set of bands playing inside the bar. So that was fun. Um, as far as getting that semi touring,
Mhm.
even though it's not technically touring, you're just going like 6, 7 some odd hours outside of town.
Mhm.
It was still fun. I
Yeah.
I definitely would do it again.
Yeah. How was the road life being getting all your stuff packed up into a would you take a van or
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, how was that
that
experience?
van, dude. That was I felt bad for Zach, honestly.
Was he driving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he mainly drove. Um, I was in one of the back seats. Joe was in one of the back seats, and our singer at the time was sitting in the front seat. It was kind of a switch off kind of a thing, but I was in the back seat for the
Yeah.
majority of it. I remember after we had got done playing the show, we enjoyed most of the night, and we started driving away from the venue, and not even about a block and a half away, we broke down.
Classic.
We broke down, didn't even get to
Yeah.
the motel until someone I forgot who was with us had to call AAA, but we ended up calling AAA to get the van and us towed to Motel 6. So that way we can go sleep at Motel 6. That was provided by the guy who booked the show, so we didn't have to pay a dime for that. Um, so we thought we got it working for the next day, and it started working again and started dying down again. So we were at the Flying J. Joe already had a family member close to that general area of we were at, so he had them pick up the van. Him and Zach went to an airport to go get a rental car because at the time Zach was still in the military in the Air Force. He had to be back by a certain time,
Mhm.
back in town by a certain time, get ready, and go down to Mountain Home
Yep.
to go do a shift.
Mhm.
And if he wasn't there in time, like obviously, as you would know, there would be severe consequences. So he didn't want to get into that. So they got the rental car. We went into the rental car and drove back all the way back to Boise from Spokane in a rental car.
Mhm.
The following weekend, Joe and him went back to go get the van after it got fixed.
All your stuff in
Yeah,
there?
all we had to leave all of our equipment
Yeah.
in the U-Haul trailer, or I don't think it was even a U-Haul trailer we used.
Something to keep it secure
Yeah,
though. Yeah.
yeah. All we had to leave the van and all the gear
Yeah.
there until they had to come back the following week to go grab it.
Wow. I never knew that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's classic story, man. You gotta have these come up stories,
yeah.
experiences. Yeah, as a band. Yeah. Yeah. That was rough. It was after the show though, so that was good. You made it to the show,
Yeah.
got to perform. So
Like, it started breaking down not too severely as we were going underneath a bridge in Spokane, close to downtown area. That was an experience in itself because we're passing by homeless people like literally straight up doing like meth, heroin out in public. I remember seeing one guy having one of those like big like gas canister things
oh yeah.
just to light up a spoon. Dude, like it was nuts.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what to take of it.
Yeah. Washington's they're a little grungy up there.
That's
Spokane, yeah.
probably more than here.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever so you went to Spokane, do you ever go to Seattle?
I went to Seattle when I was in high school.
Yeah, to perform though?
Yeah, it was with the choir I
Oh,
was in.
oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, the a cappella choir.
Nice.
Our choir teacher took us down there to perform our pieces in some of the low choir festivals around the Tri-City area.
Yeah.
And while being there, we got to see Pike's Place Market.
Yeah, it's a fun place. I really like Seattle to visit. I have an uncle that lives up there. He lives right by the Space Needle. I've never stayed at his place, but my wife and I, we should take a trip up there and go stay with him or stay nearby him and kind of tour around the area because I've never been up there with Michaela. But we did go to San Francisco on a band trip back in junior or senior year. And I remember seeing some crazy stuff too. It was like pulling up to the opera house or the theater house to watch Wicked, the play Wicked,
Okay.
the musical that was real popular at the time. And our band director's like, "Don't look left." look right. And he was like, of course, everyone's going to look left. There's a hobo getting tased or someone being tased. And he drops to the ground and he starts rolling down the hill because it's like this really hilly there
Oh
in
yeah.
San Francisco. And he starts rolling down the hill because he got tased and he's out. But yeah, we had a little bit of free time after that before we got on the bus to go back home. We were in like Chinatown of San Francisco, and we had very strict restrictions on where we could go. It was along the pier area. So there was the In
Yeah.
and Out there, and then there's like the markets. The Bushman was down there at the time. That was cool. That was a cool experience because we were all watching YouTube videos on the Bushman. So we found him, but there was only so much area we could go. And I was with a girl I was dating at the time, and I think, yeah, Nick and Elsa. I don't know if you ever met Elsa, but yeah, we snuck off and we went a little bit further than we were supposed
I
to.
do remember the name.
Yeah.
I might have met her a couple
But
times.
yeah, we snuck out. We went a little bit further than we were supposed to. We went up the hill and just started exploring around. And yeah, I remember the band trips being really, really fun. Always looking forward to them. It was
I've went on some band trips in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
How they had it set up is once you enter 8th grade, you can do marching band with the high
Yeah.
schoolers.
Yeah.
So I did that as well, and
Yeah,
went to some farther out towns in Oklahoma.
What'd you do with the marching band?
I played trumpet.
What?
Yeah, I played trumpet.
I played trumpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13
I
years.
played trumpet.
I didn't know
yeah.
you played trumpet. I got my trumpet right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang it up on the wall, hopefully sometime soon. But oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So yeah, marching band geeks. Yeah, I did that for a while. It was fun though.
It was a little difficult for me knowing with the disability that I have at the time, and this is even way before I had a foot surgery or anything like that too, or a brace or
marching and stuff was difficult. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but I could tell the marching instructor, the band instructor knew I was trying my hardest. And he knew I was trying my very best, and he knew I was very dedicated to the thing.
Yeah. So you played trumpet for how long then?
Did it from 5th grade.
Yeah.
Because they did it, they would introduce like the concert band setting to the 5th graders.
Yeah.
It'd be like a 5th grade concert band. You'd end up doing it in middle school, 6th and 7th grade. And by the time 8th grade hits, they have you, if you're still continuing on doing it with the marching band.
Yeah, for sure. You feel like your trumpet skills were like your guitar skills?
They were okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't really too on par with most of the
I'll tell you, I
there.
wasn't a very good trumpet player. I
made it decently okay through.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, a jazz band was my favorite. When we got to junior, senior year, we could be in jazz band. I love jazz band. It was early mornings. It was like 5:30 practices, but it was fun. It was really cool to be able to play that style because I liked being able to improvise on scales and stuff like that. And just kind of flow with the beat and not have to be so perfect on everything.
Yeah.
So it was a cool experience. I had my one solo at the end of I think senior year, and that was my one. But Sandu by Cliff Brown, I think was his name.
Okay.
Clifford Brown. So
I had a singing solo part in choir, like men's choir, junior year of high school.
Yeah.
It was towards near the end of that year. I think the song was like "I Like Fighting" or something like that. We had to kind of dress all like flanneled up, rolled up one part of jean, kind of like Western looking kind of a thing. And I remember starting out the song, and it was difficult for me to sing pretty loud without a microphone.
Yeah. Yep.
Which was different. But I've always enjoyed doing that. I remember my first exposure to getting into choir in high school was my foster mom at the time. They were registering me for Rocky Mountain High School. And I had just finished up West Junior High and doing the summer school and all that stuff. And she suggested to me while we were registering me, like, you want to do choir? I know you like singing. I know you like music. Sure, let's give it a shot. And I'd say that was probably the most fun I've had. And I continued going back into like a music setting in school. Because when I first moved to Boise and when I was going to West Junior High, they put me in band, but the band teacher never tested to see where I was at skill wise.
Mm.
So I was in the class. I remember trying to follow up with him to see when we could do it. And I remember by the end of that year, not the end of that year, the end of that semester, I looked at the final report card and it said F.
What?
It said F.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything music school for a while. And I remember my grandma in California had got me a trumpet, and I kind of just at the time fell out of it. And it was more of I had already had a guitar and had an amp, and that's when I had maybe the few select tab books and like dabbling into that more. Because that was another thing too. When I was first learning guitar in Oklahoma, I took lessons for a whole year. And by the time my dad and I were moving, he never told the teacher that we were moving. So
Mm.
it just stopped. So when I ended up being in the shelter and foster care, I kind of took up that a little bit on my own because I only had maybe one book or two and just kind of had to figure it out on my own. And I already had some CDs, so it kind of helped out. And I guess from there, that's where it kind of progressed over the years of still doing that same process, but now you're just watching someone on video and hearing it at the same time.
Mm.
So it's a mixture of a different learning process.
Yeah, I just feel like learning in today's age is so much. There's so many resources out there and content that we can watch. Like if you want to learn something, you have the availability. You have the
YouTube's pretty much your best
Yeah,
friend.
you have so much to be able to dive deep into, and there's just too much to even cover it all. You just pick your route, and you can pick it up, and if it sticks, you just keep going down that path. I That's the problem I have is there's so many things. I'm a very curious person in nature, and I just want to try new things a lot, and I have a hard time focusing on something and sticking with it because then I find something else that piques my interest and wanting to do it. So it's just a never ending uh, desire to just learn new things. So
Yeah.
um, things that have stuck, are they add, and it's hard to find the time for it. So time management is hard. As far as being a musician goes, like I know that you have stuck with it through and thin, and you make that a part of your daily routine. Is that would you say you practice every day?
It's kind of backed off like that a little bit. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say every day. It's now more of I'm looking for more inspiration via YouTube now through
Hmm.
different people to it's more of like inspiration striking kind of a thing now.
So you're listening to content, watching content to have inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I do that too. That's the long format podcast that I listen to. There's so many good ones out there.
Yeah.
It's like which ones do I listen to? How do I keep up on everyone that I like? So just trying to maximize that, but also you only have so much time in a day.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it's hard. There's
Yeah.
so much good stuff out there, and yeah, I think we're in kind of a new age right now where the information is coming out differently. TV's kind of being coming obsolete. It seems like I don't really watch much TV anymore as far as the news goes. I personally don't um, like turning on the TV just to watch TV unless it's a show my wife and I are going to binge and watch or something like that.
Yeah.
I try to get my information from sources that I choose to with long format podcasts. And yeah, TV networks they got to get with the new system, I think.
I feel like yeah, that's tricky. Found it's pretty odd with myself. I've noticed it with myself. I would set my alarm to wake up at a certain time, and I don't wake up at that time. I wake up maybe an hour before now. I think it's because recently I've been going into bed earlier. I think it's probably more of a getting older, but I'd throw on Paramount Plus
Hmm.
and throw on the CBS because they had the local KBOI or whatever it is there, and I'd find myself watching the news a little bit, and I'm just like, what am I becoming
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Now you just get married, have some kids, and you're the true dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have a hard time watching. I've become more cynical in my age too, where I don't trust as easily. So It's hard with the news. There's a lot of negativity. I mean, it's important to be informed, but um, I try to control what's in my inner circle, and if my community, trying to be more involved with that. Wife and I have like gotten more involved in our church lately, and that's like the influence, and that's the 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 circle that we can have control over. We can help out, or when we're receiving news updates and stuff like that, keeping it closer to us.
Yeah.
We're spread out so thin. If you try to know what's going around the entire world, um, it's like this rabbit hole that you just downward spiral into. You get into these ruts of information. So we're really trying to
Most
control
of it I
that.
see
Yeah.
now too is a mixture of news or social media, Facebook mainly.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff I
Mm,
see on there, and I remember specifically too, like when the whole pandemic thing happened, dude.
mm.
It was nuts. Like, it was weird for me too, knowing like there's a whole long period of time where you can't really be in a big group setting like a concert or anything like that. And
That was tough.
that was my main issue with this. I miss being around a whole bunch of people. I want to see and hear live music.
Yeah.
That was really a main big thing for me.
That was probably really tough for you, not being able to go to as many shows.
Yeah, it was weird, the whole, like, live streaming show format,
Yeah.
like, the first experience of
Mhm.
even witnessing that actually reverts back to Seven Dust
Mhm.
because they had put out an album at the time, and they did live stream format and did a few more others after that, and then live music kinda started coming back into play when everything was calming down. I remember specifically when the news broke out about vaccines coming into play.
Mm.
I remember sharing an article. I just said, like, if this is happening, let's get this done. I said something along the lines of, let's get this done so we can go back to some sort of normalcy. And I remember one of my brother's friends got into a comment argument over a mutual friend of ours
Mhm.
over the whole situation.
Yeah.
And I remember messaging her after that happened. I was like, God, like, I can't believe you guys went at it. And I kind of explained to her, like, I only shared it because of this. Like, this was it. I didn't uh, there wasn't really much of me wanting to dive into it other than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough time. There was a lot of, there was a lot of tension, with a lot of things that none of us had ever been through before. Excuse me. I will say, like, I won't fall for it again for what happened, everything that happened, because, we kind of fell into the trap where we better be safe than sorry for a while there. And then we started smartening up a little bit, hearing more to the story, then seeing people get silenced. And yeah, it was a tough time. Socially for me, it was very difficult because I'm already a pretty introverted person, and my wife had kind of brought that out in me. And when everything shut down, we're hunkering down.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was like hard to get out of the house again when things started opening up. Like I almost felt like I had to force myself to get out and do stuff. Like it was a weird time, but yeah, we
What
learned a lot. Won't fall for it again for some of the things that I chose to do, or maybe we're too worried about. But totally get that. For some populations and some people, it was very, very serious and very deadly time for them. But
I remember working mainly at the time I was working for Subway,
yeah.
and I had transferred to another store in downtown that's not there now. But I remember when the whole mask thing got implemented, and we've
Mhm.
had quite a few people going in there, and we had specific rules. We weren't trying to be like, we were just going with what we were told, and we've gotten people that just straight up just get pissed, walk out. I've
Mhm.
even had someone that I remember we had a sign on the window of saying like no mask, order outside, something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
But I remember a group of people came in with no mask. We had to tell them like, if you guys have masks, like please put them on. If not, I mean, we'll have to ask you to exit out or order outside through the phone and we'll bring it out
Mhm.
to you, kind of a thing. And these were groups of people that had pieces of paper saying like, oh, we have proof of this and
Mhm.
that. And we kind of could tell it was like a bogus deal.
Yeah.
And we're like, I'm sorry, like we can't serve you unless like these are met. They'd walk out. I remember then one of them specifically ripping the sign off.
Mhm.
I heard it. I didn't see it. I heard it. And I remember my area manager coming in. She had to print out a new sign. This is way before I was even promoted or anything like that at all. It was a very weird, tough. I guess you want to call it excruciating.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was hard to know what was right and what was silly, what wasn't silly. Am I taking this too seriously? Am I not taking it seriously
Yeah,
enough? You know, I generally have a lot of consideration for other people, and I totally recognize, and I'm smart enough to understand, like, okay, this person truly is at risk. They're older. They're,
yeah,
someone's not healthy. I'm a healthy young adult, and I am having to. Like, if it felt like, rights are being taken away, I can't live my life the way that I need to. We the healthy people be the ones that still can keep in America going,
yeah,
keeping everything going. Shutting down it took its toll on the country, financially and for a lot of other reasons too. We're recovering from it, and it's at the cost of everyone that's living within the country because just printed so much money. And I remember churches struggling, our church struggling. Do we want to be able to commune as a church? Don't take away that right from us. And
I remember
having
seeing
having
live
the
stream
having the
services.
pressures, people having groups and people having to adapt to the regulations and stuff like that to be able to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was a tough time, but glad we're past it now. But yeah,
sure.
but we're coming into. I always joke around with my friends and coworkers. We're it seems like the timing of everything's interesting. Always before election cycle, something big happens. So
Oh yeah,
what's going to happen next? But
and it's one of those instances I got
yeah,
reminded that was coming up this year too. I'm like, oh God,
yeah. Time just flies.
here
I
we go
still
again.
the flashback of it was my son's birthday. We're staying at the Riverside Hotel for they have the Warm Springs pool.
Yeah,
We were enjoying that for the weekend. Just Biden's inauguration, like that just seemed like yesterday. So it's crazy. We're almost ready for another election. But
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, it's been cool talking with you, man.
yeah, dude. It's
Yeah,
been a hot minute.
yeah, it's been a long time since we've been able to sit down and having an intentional conversation. Good to hear a little bit about your musical history, kind of a more behind the scenes look at you. So I would like to have you on again sometime.
Yeah,
Talk about more of your project that you got going on. When you come up with a name, release that, and maybe we can throw a sample of some of the music on.
yeah,
That'd be awesome. Kind of shout you out, show you off a little bit. But yeah, I appreciate it, man.
yeah, dude.
It's good to have you on.
You too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying you too, but like just going with it.
Yeah, man. David Rose, the rock star. What was that quote you live by?
Grab life by the horns, dude.
Grab life by the horns.